Hey, what's up? It's Miguel. I am the host of Strategy Rewind and a personal growth strategist. I am located in upstate New York, my hometown of Rochester, New York. And if this is the first time you and I have connected, then I want to share with you my story because, man, I tell you, it all began for me one Christmas day. My mother was a woman who she every Christmas would make these massive meals. And I come from a Hispanic, I come from a Latin, a Puerto Rican background. And so she would make arroz con pollo, arroz con gandule, yeah, both of them, pernil, pollo asado, habichuela guisada. She would make flan, arroz con dulce. I mean, she would make everything that you can think of. Any Spanish cuisine she would make. It would be so much food in the house that at the end of the day, she would actually be giving food away to the neighbors. She would be calling different relatives, saying, "Come eat." And they would exchange dishes and, and casseroles. I mean, it was so much food. But I remember one particular Christmas, my mother, after serving the meal and after we had eaten, she called me, my older brother, and my two sisters. She called us to the kitchen. We went to the kitchen, almost to the farthest corner of this kitchen, and she bowed her head for a moment, got real sad. It was real quiet after it had been so energetic in the room, after it was such a celebratory moment, as it was always on Christmas. But this particular moment, it got real quiet. This particular moment, my mother got sad, and she shared with us that she had been diagnosed with cancer. Worst of all, the doctors could not make any guarantee that she was going to survive this. It got real sad, it got real heavy. And in that moment, a lot of things started happening in my heart. But really, fast forward to just a few months later, because that was a December, January, February, March, she passed away. It was a lot. That was 2016. That was a lot to take in, especially when in 2015, before Christmas had arrived, my daughter was born. My second daughter was born. So you take into consideration this celebration of the arrival of a child, followed by the celebration of Christmas that was such a big thing in my family. And everything shifted months later when my mother passed away. And everything shifted in a way for me where I actually started thinking about something that I had not thought about before. I started thinking about my mortality. But not only was I thinking about my mortality, I was now thinking about my legacy. And this big question loomed over me, which is, how was I going to be remembered when I was gone? And I started to go into this journey of self-discovery. I began to question everything that I had ever learned. I began to question the things that I had done up until that moment. And I really wanted to peel back the layer, and I really wanted to get down to the root of why was I doing and living the way that I was living? Was I doing these things to please someone else? Was I doing them because I thought it was what was expected of me? Or was I actually living out my God-given purpose? And in the process of peeling back the layers is when I discovered my core values. And one of my core values is legacy. Legacy to me is not just the way I'll be remembered after I've passed away, but it's also how I'll be remembered once I'm no longer in the room. When I'm no longer in the room, how will those individuals remember me? Will I have had a positive impact? Will I have made a positive impact in the lives of those individuals that I came encounter with. Because of this, when I go on stages, I talk about legacy, I talk about impact, I talk about influence, I talk about these things. This subject is very near and dear to my heart because my mother has left a massive legacy. One that, even though my daughters didn't get to meet my mother, at least they know about my mother. The way she smiled and laughed, the way her laughter filled the room, the way she communicated and loved and served. That got me thinking about my legacy. When was the last time you sat down to think about yours? When I began to think about my legacy, it took me down this rabbit hole where I was thinking more and more about my personal development, like the things that I was doing and why I was doing them, as I mentioned. So I began to really analyze my habits because your routines and your habits will leave breadcrumbs. It'll leave details if you're heading to the right place or not. And so as I began to analyze my habits, my routines, the places that I would frequently go, the people that I would frequently hang out with, I began to realize, man, I need to make some changes here. And so I decided that I was going to start surrounding myself with people that nourished my vision. No longer did I need individuals around me just because. No longer did I want individuals around me only because, it's a family friend or because they like something. No. If you're not going to nourish the vision, if you're not going to be driven, focused, if you're not looking to excel, to grow, then I don't really want you around me because either you're going to contaminate me or something's going to happen that I don't want none of that. I don't want none of that. You are the sum of the 5 people that you hang out with. You are the result of that. And I don't want to be the result of hanging out with people that love stagnation, because I don't like stagnation. I hate it. I don't want to feel stuck. But in the pursuit of growth, I realize that I don't like feeling stuck. And I truly don't want anyone else to feel that way. I don't like stagnation, and I want everyone else to hate it as much as I do. And so I went on to this journey initially to question everything, to observe why I was making the steps and the decisions that I was making. And as I proceeded forward, I began to think more and more about my legacy and more about my personal development, and more I began to look at the development of other individuals. And I began to ask myself, how could I be of service to the individuals that are around me? Because that's the thing, that when you grow, you then see these shortcomings and these areas that are around you in your community and your family and friends, and you by default feel this need of, there has to be a way for me to be of service. Because as you have received by the mercies of God and by the grace of God, you are moved to give by such grace. And I was moved. I knew I had to help, serve. I knew I had to do something. And I had already been working in the nonprofit sector. I had already been helping individuals and training individuals. But I wondered if I could do that on another level, and helping individuals, not only in the nonprofit sector, but helping individuals on a personal sense, on a personal development. Because I believe that when you accomplish personal development, it strengthens your professional development. And so one of the things that I started was Miguel Lebron Coaching, LLC. I started Miguel Lebron Coaching as a way that I could get on stages, continue to expand that reach, that I could do one-on-one coaching, grow on that, and actually go into group coaching. And I'm so happy to say that we've been able to accomplish that. Miguel Lebron Coaching has been able to go on stage through Miguel Lebron Coaching. I've been able to go on stages. I've been able to go ahead and help individuals on a one-on-one basis and through group coaching. And I'm so excited and happy about that. But as the years have progressed and gone by, I realized something. While I can be of service to you through the podcast Strategy Rewind, and I could be of service to you by speaking on stages and doing a one-on-one coaching, the reality is that there's more. The idea of taking up your cross is something that you would do daily, right? You wouldn't just do it once and that would be the end of it. Like, think about things that you do daily because it's required to proper maintenance and growth and health for your body. Eating, it's something you do daily, right? Several times a day, right? Meditation is something you do several times a day. Showering, moments of relaxation, conversation. There are so many things that if you take the time to think about them, you do not only several times a week, but also several times in a day. And so when we talk about personal growth, I realized that there was more missing in the conversation. Number one, we needed to look at the conversation of personal development in a more holistic manner. There are so many individuals that I know that spiritually they think they're doing well and they feel like that life domain, they have it under control, but yet their body physically, they're not doing well. And so if your body is a temple and spiritually you think you're doing well, but the body is breaking down, there's an issue there. Or maybe you think mentally you're doing well and you're taking in all this information and you're studying and learning. And so mentally you think you're doing well, but you never take a day off. You never rest. There's a problem there. There's an issue there. Because part of the 10 life domains is the avocational side, which is the hobbies that we do. And yes, there's the mental, the emotional, the spiritual as well. But there's also that time for relationships and your career. And so the more I've dived into helping other individuals accomplish their goals, identify their core values, establish habits, I realized that there was these 10 life domains that needed to be part of the conversation so that we can look at personal development in a more holistic way. So how do we do this? How do we get to a place where, number one, every individual is looking at personal development in a holistic way, and number two, that personal development is accessible to everyone? I believe that personal development is a personal human right. Every individual, every citizen of this earth should have access to personal development, to growing personally. But how do we do this? How do we accomplish this? In the pursuit of accomplishing this, I have launched Growth Strategy Spotlight. Growth Strategy Spotlight aims specifically to this, to ensure that every citizen of this world has access to personal development. That personal development should not be something that only an elect group or a small number of individuals have, that only the 1%ers get. No, personal development is for every individual, every citizen of this world. One of our core values here at Growth Strategy Spotlight is equality. Personal development is a human right, and every individual needs to have access to personal development. So through Growth Strategy Spotlight, if you subscribe for free, you will get access to the Strategy Rewind podcast, which again is the podcast that focuses on the mindset and strategies needed for a breakthrough moment. We have over 100 episodes. We've got a bunch more coming along the way. And, I'm so excited and happy with what we've been able to do through the Strategy Rewind podcast. So by subscribing to the Growth Strategy Spotlight, You'll get notified in your inbox as soon as an episode becomes available. You also get access to articles that I have written focusing on the 10 life domains. Some articles are about strategies I've implemented, such as a strategy I implemented last year, which allowed me to lose over 20 pounds and gain muscle and energy. So I write about these strategies that I myself have used, that my clients have used. And in some instances, there's some curated strategies, information and content from other individuals, leaders within this particular niche of personal development. I bring them to you in a digestible fashion so that you can have the information. So we're talking about articles and podcasts that you get access to for free. But we know that the conversation can't end there. There has to be more. It just can't be about conversation that you hear and read. There has to be more. We're needing that part of connection. So if you subscribe to our premium membership, you get access to that community. Not only do you get the podcast and access to the archive episodes and articles and archive articles that we've done, but you also get access to that community that we're talking about. Growth-minded individuals that, just like you, want to have an impact, want to serve, and want to grow. This is going to allow you to gain that insight, that inspiration, and empowerment you need so that you can accomplish your goals. A growth-minded community. But that's not the only thing you get. You get the podcast, you get the articles, you get access to this community, and you also get a seat at our monthly mastermind. And I'm not talking about a mastermind that was recorded months ago that you have to click on a link to be able to see, and then you can pause and play at any time. No, I'm talking about a live mastermind that you can ask your question and get information from your peers of this community that you're building, of this community that you're a part of. Real network. Because as you know, your network will affect your net worth. So it's time to surround yourself with people that nourish your vision. Podcast episodes, articles, community of growth-minded individuals, and a seat at the masterminds. But I know that there's more that we can offer. And so we're launching new podcasts exclusive to our premium members. And we're also launching training videos and detailed information on how you can grow in each of the 10 life domain. And you may be wondering, how much is it to subscribe to the premium tier? Well, first, let me talk to you about our brand new podcast, Coaching Faith. This new podcast will focus on the taboos surrounding spirituality and Christianity. As a Christian, I believe heavily that my faith has been an anchor in my life. And I know that in your life, your faith has been an anchor as well. Spirituality is so important, and it isn't the same as faith, a topic we'll talk about in this new podcast titled Coaching Faith, where again, we tackle the taboos surrounding spirituality and Christianity. Now, I say we because I'm going to have a co-host that we're going to be diving into this. An individual who is driven, who is focused, who is community-oriented, who is an entrepreneur, who is a Christian, who has served in pastoralship and is an ordained minister. Now, this is going to be a powerful series of episodes. In fact, we've already started recording, and I can tell you these episodes are going to be intense. Coaching Faith is the new podcast that we'll be launching that focuses on the domain of spirituality. So you get these exclusive podcast episodes of Strategy Rewind. You get exclusive articles that we're writing and have written Of course, the archive, you get access to all of that. You also get access to a growth-minded community for inspiration and insight. You get a seat to our monthly mastermind. You get access to new exclusive podcasts like Coaching Faith that focuses on the taboos surrounding spirituality and Christianity. And all of this for $5 a month. For $5 a month, you can have access to all of this information. And we are now just getting started. What this is going to do is going to revolutionize your personal development. It is going to change the very foundation of your personal development, granting you access to written content, to visual content, to audio content, and to a community of growth-minded individuals, all for $5 a month. And if you invest this into your personal development, just imagine where you'll be in the next coming months. Imagine the type of person you could become if you invested more in your personal development. Imagine the type of person you could become if you invested more in your legacy. That day that we were standing in the kitchen with my mother, that December 2015, months after my daughter had been born, that day changed everything for me. I thought the news was going to be the big game changer, so to speak. But on March 2016, when we laid my mother to rest, I knew something had to change in my life. I had to focus more on my legacy. Finally, somebody so close to me in my life had passed away that made me rethink the steps I was taking. And I looked at my daughters. At that time, I had 2 daughters. I now am a father of 3 girls, Raziel, Anna, and Amelia. And Amelia has not and will never get the chance to meet my mother. But my mother has left a legacy that she is well aware of. And I have the responsibility to leave a legacy for them. But the only way to do that, and the only way to raise them up, is if I raise myself up as well. Is if I focus on my personal development, I can help them develop as well. That's my why. That's my why. I want to leave a legacy that echoes in eternity. I want my daughters to know that I focused in on my personal development and that it led to building a legacy. What's your why? What's moving you? What is it that's impulsing you? Is it your desire to win? Is it your desire to be better? Is it your want to build a legacy? Is it financial gain or financial freedom? Whatever your why is, whatever's fueling you, it must be pure, and it cannot be tainted by someone else's perspective or some situation of someone who left you behind. This is a moment for you to think, reflect, and invest. Invest in you. Invest in your future. Invest in your legacy. Put a spotlight on your personal development and subscribe by visiting to strategyrewind.com. Visit strategyrewind.com. Subscribe today to the Growth Strategy Spotlight.